And I checked, and I saw a silver SUV parked outside, and 3 men got out of it. So I called my partner at that time using my laptop on WhatsApp. And I told him, okay, you know what? There is a silver SUV parked outside. There are 3 guys moving around. I'm scared that they're going to take me right now. I don't know what to do. So he tells me, no, just calm down, breathe, observe, text me everything, like tell me everything that's going on. I'm on my way. So I observed them for about half an hour. They were just moving around. It was like surveillance of some sort. So they were moving around, observing the area. I don't know what they were trying to find really, but that went on for like half an hour. Then they left. And around the same time they were leaving, he arrived. I was so scared. I was rooted to one spot of the living room the entire time until he got there. Then I was like, oh, Fuchs, now I can breathe. So that evening went by. It was very calm. It was peaceful. We slept.
What was your emotional state at that point?
My anxiety was so bad. I was having panic attacks after every couple of hours. It was insane because the day before they had taken my friend Shadrach, so I had a feeling that they were gonna come for me next, especially if they went through his phone. Yeah, so that evening went by it was calm, it was quiet, we slept. I wasn't able to sleep much during that period because, of course, nerves, anxiety. So at around 4 a.m., I hear movements outside. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's the neighbors coming, getting home from somewhere. And I brushed it off as nothing. And then they knocked. They knocked at our door, and I brushed that off as well. But the knocking got louder and louder, and at that point, I woke him up. I was like, they're here, they've come for me. And before that, I had typed out a tweet on my laptop that I was going to send out when they came. It was like, wamenichukua, but I didn't even have time to send that out. I didn't even have time to send that out. Yeah, so I woke him up. I told him, there's someone at the door. So he got up. I'm scared, I'm shaken. It is so loud. They wanted to break down the door at that point. They shouted something at him in Luo, Nyerere something. He later told me it meant, open this door or we're gonna break it down. Mm-hmm. So he went to the door. I stayed in the bedroom, scared as hell. I'm still in my nightwear. I was fixed to that spot. I didn't know what to do. He went to the door, he opened it. As soon as he opened it, they put him down. Blindfolded him, tied him up, came in to look for me. They were 7 with guns as big as me.
Could you tell their faces?
No, I could not. They were wearing baklavas, they were masked up, so I could not see their faces at all. But I could just hear voices. It was just the voices. So they put him down, came into the bedroom looking for me. Mm-hmm. I saw their guns and, dude, I'm very short. So when I tell you their guns are as big as me, I saw them and the first thing that came to my mind was, why are they coming to get us a little girl with military-grade weapons? I'm not a terrorist. The only thing I did wrong was use my social media and my voice for a cause that I believed in, for a cause that millions of Kenyans believe in. So at that, I told you I was still in my nightwear, so they wanted to take me like that, but one of them had sense and said, no, let her get into something that's a bit warmer, more appropriate. Yeah, they didn't even want to let me dress up. They were just standing there, watching me, waiting for me to undress and give them some kind of show. They're sick people. No, but one of them, the one who had sense, mm-hmm. Yeah, the sense was constant. He told them, okay, maybe we can give her a minute to get changed. And then, yeah. So I dressed up. I just put a t-shirt and one of my official pants on and this exact jacket and a sweater, and I took one for him as well. I didn't know they were gonna take him. Initially, I thought, okay, they're just gonna come for me and he's gonna get me out. but they took him too. So I took a jacket for him and they tied us up, they blindfolded us, and we left. So took us down the
You
stairs.
blindfolded
From the house.
From the house.
There were instances where they used to take off the blindfold, like if we went to the washroom, which we went to a lot. But yeah, so they took us into the car. I don't even know if we locked the house. I have no idea what happened after that. At that point in my head, I was just like, oh God, shit. Sorry for the colorful language, but that's what was going on in my head. So they put us in a car. I didn't know we were in the same car because later on I was told there were 3. So in my head, I was also thinking, okay, where did they take him? What are they going to do to him? Not my partner. Where did they take him? And then later on, I came to realize, oh, he's right here. So calm down a bit. So they put us in the car, and we drove for nearly 20 minutes, got to our destination. The entire time, these guys are hitting my head, like, usijaribu kutoa your blindfold, ukitoa utanikasirisha, and you don't want to make me mad. So they're hitting my head and confirming, is this thing on? It was so tight, my head hurt so bad, my ears, it was crazy. So we got there, we sat in the car for about 10 minutes, and the entire time they're like, other guys came and they were like, oh, undo Nadia. Oh, you ndo ringleader. Nkasichana kadogo, haka ndo kana ringlead watu kwenda maandamano. So I'm like, at that time I'm scared. I'm like, miyaki sija ringlead mtu. Sija ringlead mtu. That's all I kept saying. And then they took us inside. It felt like a house. So they took us inside the house and put us in a room. Later I realized there were 2 beds. So my partner was in the other one and I was on the one on the right. Still blindfolded this entire time and tied up. So they left us there for a few minutes. And then I think we were handed over. The people who took us are not the same people who were interrogating us. So we were handed over from one team to another.
I'd like to call other guys who are also in the room, Anesti Nyerere and Bill Simani, to also recount on their experience as well, so that we can get the conversation going and it becomes more an engagement. Thank you so much. Let's give him a round of applause, please. Thank you so much. It's Billy, correct?
Yeah, Billy.
For coming on stage. Ernest will be joining us shortly. Just briefly recount for us how the experience was for you.
Hi, my name is Billy Simani, otherwise known as Crazy Nairobian. Okay, for me, I was, I think, the first guy to be abducted. So for me, it was more of a surprise. We had just come from a successful Thursday maandamano. So on Friday, I was still asleep throughout the day. I just woke up constantly to tweet and go back to sleep. So at 3 p.m., I think it was on 21st June, I had a knock on the door. At first, I thought it was the caretaker, because that's the only person that can knock at my door. So I went to open the door. Wengine upiga simu before akuze. So I was still in my t-shirt and my short. I went to the door, opened it, and I saw it was 4 guys in balaclava. The 5th one was a lady because she had on a face mask. And the first question they asked me was, Billy? And out of shock, I answered, yes. Na hiyo time yote wameshikilia mlango. So they all rushed in. The first guy ran to the balcony. I think they thought that maybe I would escape. Then the second one went to the bedroom. And then the third one, it was this huge guy. He told me to face the wall. Alafu, they told me to sit down. And the next thing I know, I was being slapped with brand new wrist bracelets, yani pingu, nyuma. Alafu, the other guy went from my laptop and my phone. And then they started interrogating me. First, they asked me to open my phone. They wanted me to unlock my phone but I refused. And then the whole time I was asking, nimefanya nini? Nataka nijue nimefanya nini? And they silenced me with a few round of claps, all of them.
Oh, wow.
And so nika realize this is not usual, because first of all, I was just tweeting normally. I hadn't done anything wrong. And then the other guy went for my t-shirt, the maandamano t-shirt, it was on my chair. I thought maybe they were taking evidence, but they wanted to use the t-shirt to cover me up. So the whole time I was pleading with them to at least let me put on some pair of trousers, but they refused. And then they asked me the last time, tufungulie simu tafadhali. And I told them, mimi mniambie kwanza mnanishikia nini ndio nijue. They silenced me once again with a few round of clap, all of them. And you know I live on the 7th floor. And that's the first time ever since I moved into that building that nimeiteremka stairs na I think it was a few seconds, because they were too quick. I couldn't see because walikuwa wameni cover up. The next thing I know, I'm being sandwiched in the back of a car. Mm-hmm. I think there was one guy on my right, the other one on my left. And then we drove around for like 2 hours. So me, in my mind, I knew that I'm being taken out of Nairobi somewhere. And I knew this was it, because first of all, they didn't introduce themselves. Second of all, I've been blindfolded. So the next thing I knew, story yangu imeisha hivyo. So we drove around for like 2 hours. Then they started whispering. And then one of them was asking for directions from someone on the phone. And then they sent him the pin. And then the next thing I know, I'm pulling up to, I don't know, one of them, they stopped the car, they came out, and then one of them was like, ni hapa? Then the others were like, yeah, ni hapa. Wakasema, sawa, toa hiyo jamaa tumalizane na yeye hapa kwa kahawa, tuende kufanya kazi ingine. And I knew that was it. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing I know, I'm being taken out of the car. I was still in my t-shirt, my short, barefoot, hands tied behind my back. I've been blindfolded. The next thing I know, I'm being taken down the stairs into a room. It was a very cold room. Then they told me to lie on my stomach. They asked my name. I told them Billy Simani. The next thing, they wanted my ID number. The next thing, they asked me where I come from. I think walikuwa nataka kujua ushago ni wapi. I told them. Then they asked me nimeshikiwa wapi. So I was like, I thought these were the guys that brought me here. So I think those were the other guys that I was handed to who were asking questions. They let me lie on that floor for like an hour. Then after an hour, somebody came. They took me upstairs into, I think it was an interrogation room. Those guys at the interrogation room were a bit friendly. The guys at where I was being held up were a bit rough. So the next thing I know, I'm being sat on a chair, and then one of the guys started asking me questions. They asked me the usual question: what is your name, your ID number, where do you live, your social media handles. They wanted Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And then the next thing they told me was, we are going to ask you questions and you're going to answer us. If you don't, first of all, this is not a police station, so they might not find you, so you have to cooperate. And I was like, this was it. So they wanted to know who was funding these protests. And I told them, no one, it's just the youth. There are people who are coming up and buying water. Some people are coming up and buying t-shirts. Watu wanajitolea tu. Then they told me, the reason why we have brought you here is because tungeongea nawe kwako, ulikuwa kichwa ngumu. First of all, we need you to unlock that phone. And I was like, mimi nataka nijue nimeshikiwa nini. And they told me once more, I'm the one asking the questions. You're going to open this phone because we want to see something. And then I just decided to open the phone for them. I told them the code. They checked. I think they were looking to see if somebody was funding us, and they didn't find anything. So they took me down to where I was being held. I think it was a downstairs. It was a very cold room. I slept there the whole night. My hands on my back, still in my short and t-shirt, the whole night. So they came for me the next day. That's when they brought in tea. And then they transferred my hands to the front. And then after tea, I was taken back to the interrogation room. And then the guy was friendly enough to ask for a blanket. And then they told me, we wanted you to fast to meditate and think about your questions first. So I think now you are ready to cooperate with us and tell us what we want to know.
Perhaps, Billy, during the entire time, paint us that experience that you had that entire time, because you're talking of you being slapped at the back, you being tied up, your hands, having to sleep in a cold room the entire night. Just paint us in a minute how that experience was for you.
The whole time I was trying to think, what tweet gave me out? Like, what did I say? Because the only thing I know, I was protesting like the rest of my colleagues. So I was wondering why I was brought here. And the whole entire time, I didn't know why I was brought there. Like, I knew this was the end for me. So it was like a psychological warfare, because first of all, they removed the cuffs, the handcuffs, and then they replaced them with, they're called ziplock, zip ties. And the more I was struggling, the more they were tightening. So my hands were numb. I couldn't sleep the entire time. I was trying to like listen and know where I was, but there was no sound, no nothing. I didn't know if there was anybody in the room. So I wasn't even sure if I was in a police station or what. But I later realized the following day when they transferred the hands to the front, when I had the chance and lifted my blinds, I was in a toilet. I was actually in a toilet. It's a very small toilet. And that's where I was held the whole night. And then they would occasionally come. And when they came, they announced that they are coming, so I had to face the wall. Then they tightened the blindfolds again. They take me to the interrogation room. I think by that time, people had made enough noise on social media. I was all over, I was in the news, and they were tense at that fast, and they were telling me, your friends think that we have killed you. They are making noise all over. So we are not here to kill you. We are just trying to keep the country at peace. And they told me on Thursday, the day before they arrested me, the protest was so huge, and then goons came in at around, I think, 6, 7, and they started burning a few matatus. They started destroying properties. So in their mind, they thought that maybe we were sponsored by either a politician or someone. So they wanted to know who was this that was sponsoring the protests. And that's when I explained to them that ours is a peaceful protest. That's why we have even printed T-shirts, and we have given out a memo that anybody who is going to appear in the protests, they wakuje kama wamevaa black, so that we identify each other. And then they wanted to know how we were going to ensure that the protest was peaceful. And that's why I told them to go and look at my tweets. We had previously said that everybody should use their smartphone. If you see anybody vandalizing anything, take a picture, post it, so that when they try to pin the distraction on us, we at least have evidence. So they went through my tweets and they saw everything that we are telling people. We had even posted how people were supposed to conduct themselves during the peaceful protest. And I think that was what helped me to be alive right now.
Thank you so much, Billy. Ernest, karibu sana to the podium. Just give us a brief introduction of who you are and your participation in the protest and how it impacted you.
All right. I'm Ernest Nyerere. I'm a patriot. A lover of our country, and I work with the president of the Law Society of Kenya. My involvement in the protest was largely piecemeal because I take the work that we do with the president very seriously, and it means that you have to understand the delicate balance of sharing your views and how it can affect the responsibility, the greater responsibility that lays on the shoulder of the person that you work with. So, as a principal, I try to manage how vocally I share my views. So of course, I have very strong views, and I have my own opinions of how things should work, but I understand that extrapolations are a norm in our society. So to avoid such extrapolations, I keep my role as professional as possible, and my involvement in the protest was in supporting the work that the Council of the Law Society of Kenya was doing, and of course, under the leadership of the president. So I wouldn't say I was the #1 agitator, but I supported it in a more strategic capacity in the role that I hold.
Thank you so much, Ernest. I'd like to come back to Nadia. What is your perception about civic engagement now that you have experienced police brutality, and according to you, you're protesting, it's your right. What is your perception about civic engagement after the entire police brutality?
Thank you. I believe so far we're doing well with regards educating ourselves and educating members of the society on how we can keep the people who are in these positions of power accountable and keeping the systems in check and whatnot. So civic education right now, I think, is moving in the direction that it was supposed to be moving in previously. It's better than it was before, I think also because of the incidents that we have had of people getting murdered, people getting maimed, injured, abducted like ourselves. So our society is moving in the right direction, I believe. We are moving in the right direction.
Thank you so much, Nadia. At this point, I would like to take a comment, not really a comment, but welcome at _Oduk, who's joining the conversation from X. If we could have him, please. Okay, so we're getting him through. So at this point in time, we're just opening the floor for Q&A. So if you have any questions, kindly jot it down and the person to whom you want the question directed to. So I'd like to ask Billy, perhaps, how do you think the victims of police brutality can get support, having gone through yourself police brutality?
I think most of us need like a psychological evaluation, because the moment I was released, the first thing was to switch off my phone, because I'm still paranoid at how they located me, how they even knew my house, my door. Like up to now, my phone is still off. I'm using a different line. And I haven't been staying at one place. I've been staying at different people's places, because I'm still afraid, because I think that they might come back for me. So if you know anybody that has been through what we have been through, the best you can do is be there for them, support them, talk to them, because I don't think any of them want to be alone at this time.
To you, Ernest, roping you back to the conversation from a law perspective, how do you think the demonstrations should be handled from the law perspective with those that are enforcing the law, that is the police, of course?
Well, of course, we have to understand that a democratic society is the number one sort of dream that our constitution envisions. And that is why we have very elaborate structures, institutions, and provisions on ensuring that the people can engage in a democratic manner and ascertain a democratic and fair and equal society. Now, we've all had the conversations that have been there about Article 37 and all the relevant constitutional provisions under the Bill of Rights with respect to participation of the people, how the people are supposed to engage. And the reality is the people of Kenya have come to an awakening that, hey, these are our rights. We gave them to ourselves. And it is upon ourselves to enjoy them. And this realization is simply because the people that have been entrusted with ascertaining the protections of these rights have failed. You look at the duty of the police under Article 244, they have to uphold constitutional standards of human rights. But is that what they do? You know, when baddies are walking with water bottles and their iPhones and simply trying to talk about what their rights are, and you tear gas them, it's very unfortunate, you know. Advocates trying to uphold the right to fair trial, going to police stations to represent people who, mind you, have been unlawfully arrested. Then you tear gas these lawyers, not caring for their health, not caring for their duty to the people. Then what kind of setup are you trying to put in place? We find ourselves in a situation where we stand at the risk of those in positions of power choosing when to suspend the Constitution and choosing when to adhere to it when it suits them. And therefore, it is a moment of awakening where we as the people of Kenya need to come together. We need to stand up to all the ills that have characterized our country historically and since the promulgation of the new constitution, and we need to appreciate that we have a wonderful constitution and it is upon us to make it work for ourselves, because our political leaders have not just failed, they have refused to implement it.
Thank you so much, Ernest. Nadia, just walk us through how this entire ordeal and experience has really changed in terms of how now you view life and everything else.
My life has changed so drastically in the span of 1 month, I cannot even tell you. As Billy said, we need a lot of psychosocial support. The anxiety, constantly having to look over your shoulder, constantly being scared that people are out to get you. I also haven't stayed in my house for more than 2 days at a go since this thing started. Just jumping from relative to relative, friend to friend. I stayed with my partner also for some time. So it's crazy. As I was telling my story right now, I could feel like a panic attack was coming on, because as I recount those events in my head, I feel like I'm back there. I feel like I'm going through that again. So,
Billy, on your end, how is it for you?
It's not simple, because you walk around, everybody knows you. From the news that you are missing, everybody wants to hear your side of the story. But at the same time, you are scared because, first of all, I didn't see those guys. I didn't see any of their faces. So in a way, I can't trust anyone. I'm a bit skeptic. And now my life isn't normal because my phone has to be constantly on flight mode, because I'm getting a lot of calls, relatives, they want to know how I am. So I always reach out to my mom so that she can at least tell them that I'm okay. But at the moment, I'm moving around constantly from house to house because I don't want to be found in my house again alone.
Thank you so much. Ernest, from your end, from the Law Society of Kenya, perhaps are you looking at ways in which you can be able to get justice for people like Nadia and Billy?
Well, I'd have to say that I wouldn't want to claim to speak for the Law Society of Kenya, but I would have to admit that it is important that those who are capable and are in positions to intervene do intervene. And of course, I appreciate my relationship with the Law Society, and being a victim myself, I think it is in order that the Law Society takes an active position in representing these people and, finding redress. Because as they've shared, the experiences were not easy. Evidently, there are violations of constitutional rights, and there must be reparations. That is what we must agree as a people, we must agree as a society. There must be reparations, there must be consequences. So I would have to say that all the things that we have experienced should not go in vain. For instance, the day I was taken is the day I knew hot water tastes good. I ordinarily do not take hot water, but it was the only thing on offer, yeah? That was the day I was reminded of how it feels kupigwa kofi ya kisogo. I have not been hit on the backside of my head since I was 9 years old, and that's quite some time back. But those reminders came in, and it was a harrowing experience, but we have capacity. We have numbers, we have capability, we have courts that are not just prepared, but are required to make sure that justice is served. And I do believe that all the partners who have taken part in putting this together, the Citizen Assembly, will work as well to ensure that the necessary reparations are found for all the victims and all the families of those who lost their lives.
Thank you so much, Ernest. I don't know if the people here have any questions to our panelists. If we could have perhaps the mic going round. If you have any question, just raise up your hand so that we can have an interactive engagement for our panelists here. Yeah, floor manager, there is a question there from the gentleman, and then we can have the lady to my left, the gentleman to my right, the first. Thank you so much. You please state your name and your question, and to whom is it directed to?
Comrades Power. I don't have a question, I just would like to do something. Can I ask the three of you to stand up and turn around and face that side? I am used to giving instructions. I was in a school in a minute. Please stand up. Come as close to the edge without falling. Okay. Just look there, don't look back. Just be present. The rest of you stand up. I want you to imagine you are back there and all these people have your back. That in that moment you could not see them, but they were all calling for your release. That none of them forgot you for that moment. And in that sense, be present to the fact that when we take a stand as human rights activists, we are never alone. There are 56 million people who are slowly beginning to find capacity to protect you. I'm not sure if this is a question, but we have your back.
Thank you so much. We have another question from the second row to my left on this other side. The lady in green, I presume. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My name is Diana Gishengo, and just like Irongo, I have no question. And mine is to say thank you. Thank you very much for your sacrifice, for what you have done for this country. We really thank you. Nadia, erase from your mind, you did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong in all the posts you did and what you did on the street. We celebrate you, we honor you. I think in addition to having their back, can we all pledge that the torture they went through, in addition to the people who have lost their lives, the firing of cabinet is not enough, is it? Yes. For patriots to have sat in a toilet because they demanded good governance, Parliament must go. For all the wrong investments in military guns to silence us, we need a new budget. Not the one that he's referring to. We need a new budget. And finally, if the president could not apologize for this, he said they were fake. Look at these people. They are here, we can see them. Does he deserve to be our president? No. Ruto must? No. Thank you.
Thank you for those opinions. Any other round of questions? Okay.
People power. People power. People power. Thank you very much. My name is Brian Okeja. Actually, we really don't even need to ask questions. We need to speak our hearts here. What we are dealing with in this country is a kleptomaniac bunch of bones and muscles. That is what we are dealing with in this country. We are dealing with a government that has a massive disdain for rule of law. I can tell you there are just a few of us, but so many people suffered. Myself, I was hit by a canister. I lost balance. I almost broke my knee. I was clobbered on the back by a rungu. I was washed with that pink water. Iliniwashadi makende. What they have done, that they have arrested our people, they have tortured us, they have killed us. But what they don't know is this, that when we made the decision to come out of our houses, we knew that the fight for democracy is very expensive. And we are ready to pay the ultimate price. We knew that we would either come back home safe or not come back at all. But that will not deter us from anything. We will continue. They can kill us, but they cannot kill this movement. They can torture us, but they cannot kill this liberation. They can kill us. The worst thing that they can ever do to us is to kill this bunch of bones and muscles. This is a body, but they can never touch our soul. We will die and we will reincarnate. We will come back and be born in this same country. We are not going to accept any nonsense. And what we are saying is this, that as the youth of this nation, as the Gen Zs, our allegiance, our obeisance, our loyalty and fidelity is to the flag of this nation, is the flag of Kenya, and to no one else and to nothing else. People power. Say with me, I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Before we continue, I'd like to invite Rocha Madza, who is the student president, to just give his comments. The mic is there, please, if you could. The mic is there, please. Thank you.
Comrades power! Comrades power! Comrades Tibim! Comrades Ria! Comrades Ria! I'd first like to take this chance to thank the organizers for this event, and I'm very honored. And if I may recount on what we underwent when we were going for the demonstrations, we were rallying ourselves through the main campus, where we were able to organize ourselves and get some masks and water. And what we were mainly agitating for as students, apart from the finance bill, is mainly the new funding model, which has been really affecting us. And even as the president has dissolved his cabinet, we are still saying there is more to be done. Am I wrong, comrades? Ni ukweli? because as we are sitting right now, we can't afford school fees as students, and what we're calling for the president to do is he dissolves and he abolishes the new funding model, which is really affecting the needy, because if education is an equalizer, then why then should we segregate, and why then should we group students based on how financially they are? Because as we are speaking, the first years in medicine school who are paying 612,000 shillings, half of them have deferred from their class because they're expected to pay 30% of that, which is about 200,000 shillings. So where I come from Kwale, that is in Zombo. My parents, maybe they sell mangoes to earn a living, so they really can't afford these school fees, and we are killing their dreams. So as we are here, let us also agitate for that in the X and other avenues, that we still need change, and this is the right time, and I'd urge all of us, let's not kill the movement, because the country is still in shambles, and we can't say we have won yet. Much has to be done, and mine is to urge all the comrades that we'll do this until we get to where we are, because this is our nation, and we must fight for our justice. And for all those who are affected, we have been praying for you, and I'm sure everything will be well. And for all those few remarks, let me thank you for organizing the event. Have a lovely day. Na safari ni ya Ikulu, na we reject the new funding model. Comrades power! Comrades power! We want free education because it's a basic need for all of us. Amani wongo. Yes, so thank you na mbarikiwe sana.
Thank you so much, Rocha, for those comments. Please reserve your comments and your questions. Of course, the engagement and discussions are still ongoing. At this point, I'd like to begin with Nadia. What are your closing remarks? And perhaps the leaders that are watching you today, what is your message to them?
We owe it to ourselves and to our fallen comrades to see this thing through to the end. This movement is not about one person, it is not about two people, it is about all of us collectively. We need systems that work. We need a country that works for all of us, not just a select few. So, yeah, they can maim us, they can injure us, they can murder us, but they cannot stop this movement.
Billy, on your end, your closing remarks. To those that are watching, what are you telling them, especially the policymakers, those that are in charge?
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank everyone for all the noises that you made while you were abducted. So, and all I can say is that together we are powerful. The noises that we are making behind our keyboards, behind our phones, they are very powerful, and we are seeing the effects, like they are working. So all I can tell all the comrades, don't give up. This thing is working. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Ernest, from your end, your closing remarks, and the calls continues, and perhaps what is the way forward from your end?
I think there is a defiance that comes with knowing that you are doing what is right, and knowing that you are fighting and standing for something. Standing at that door after it opened, seeing 8 men armed with military-grade weapons, the fear went out of me, because I knew I had done nothing wrong, and I knew there was nothing I could do. I was helpless, but I was sure that if that was the end, it was for doing nothing wrong. We, the people of Kenya, will continue to do what is right. We will continue to fight for what we deserve, and we will continue to use our brains, because our ingenuity is what sets us apart from those who have fought before us. We will not just come at you in the streets. We will use our brains. We will fight you in courts. We will use technology. We will stop you from making this country move in the right direction by whatever means available to us. We are the smartest, we are the strongest, we are the best this country has to offer. Na tutashuka na watu.
Thank you so much, Ernest, for those remarks. Please, let's give them a round of applause. It's not easy, and we wish you well, even as you get the psychological help that you need to get yourself through the next phases of your life. At this point, I'd like to call Giuliani as we take a very short breather, and then we will continue the conversation. So keep your questions there. We will get to them. So at this point, we are going to just take a breather and then invite Giuliani on the stage. Thank you so much.
May our children rest in peace. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.